The views and opinions expressed on any program are those of the producers and/or the persons appearing on the program and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of FRC Media, Bristol Community College, or the City of Fall River.
What's happening in Fall River this week in terms of real estate news and economic development? We check in weekly with Kevin Lawrence. He's the editor, publisher, and owner of Fall River Development News. You can find all of his great information on Facebook. Kevin, how are you?
Very well. Happy to be here once again, Keith.
All right, let's go through the lineup this week. People may not know, but Fall River had an indoor, sort of like indoor golf facility.
Yeah.
Actually in a place that's not really, I mean, people know where it was located, but you wouldn't know that it was there unless you walked in. Well, that indoor golf club is actually closing. Phil is about that.
Yeah, it's been shuttered. The Seven Hills Indoor Country Club, located on the bottom of President Avenue at 1040 North Main Street in Fall River. It's adjacent to the D'Angelo's. The business originally opened up with a golf simulator that you could utilize back in March of 2024. A year later, it's been closed. A for rent sign is now attached to the storefront, and the windows have been covered up with paper. So that is gone, and hopefully they'll lease that space out so someone can utilize that spot in the near future.
All right. We always like to talk about restaurants on this segment. Let's start. You mentioned D'Angelo's. A lot of people may remember D'Angelo's location on the corner of Plymouth Avenue and Pleasant Street.
Yes.
Well, they closed down. Another restaurant went in there. They shut down, and now they're looking for a new tenant.
Yeah, so this has been a property that's high visibility. It's a vacant restaurant that's been sitting idle since September of 2023. The spot is now for lease. This is at the intersection of Pleasant Street, and the actual address is 10 Plymouth Avenue. It was formerly that D'Angelo's restaurant sandwich shop that closed back in 2019. The building was most recently occupied by Ket's Empire Restaurant. That shut its doors in September of 23, and the spot's been sitting vacant ever since. It's owned by the D'Angelo Real Estate Company, and they're trying to finally lease it out. They're going to pair it up with a property that's adjacent to it at 34 Plymouth Avenue. It used to be the old NEP meat warehouse. They tore it down like 15, 20 years ago. It's just a vacant parking lot right now. So they're looking to redevelop that entire corner consisting of 10 Plymouth Ave and 34 Plymouth Ave. And hopefully there'll be a new lease on life for that spot sometime in the near future. But they're aggressively working it now, where it's just been sitting idle for over a year. So hopefully something will come in. That's a very visible spot in the center of the city.
Yeah, I know that one of the things that I noticed with that restaurant, even when D'Angelo's was there, when there wasn't that other parcel of land that was included, was not a lot of room to people to park, get in and out. It was kind of a tight location. But if you said if they're expanding that area, there could be, more room for other development in that location. All right. St. John's Club has been the home of Olympio's restaurant for quite some time. And you said this got a lot of play on Fall River Development News. They've announced that Olympio's has announced that they're leaving.
Yeah, they're leaving the St. John's Club. The funny thing about this, they've only been open for about 2.5 months. The spot was formerly occupied by the Azores family restaurant. That restaurant moved to Swansea. Olympio's opened, and now they've announced that they're leaving. They're going to open up again, hopefully in June, they say, at an undisclosed location. So they're leaving the St. John's Club, and they're moving to a new undisclosed location somewhere in Fall River. When we find out where it is, we'll let you know, Keith.
Yeah, I know we did speak about this when Olympio's was going into St. John's earlier in the year, February, January, whenever that had happened. So I remember this came up, and boy, it was short-lived for the St. John's Club. And finally, this week, more restaurant news. A chain restaurant that people may not have heard of, but they've got locations all up and down the East Coast, is going to be coming to the city soon, providing some Mediterranean fare.
Yeah, the restaurant chain is called Naz's Halal Food. It's coming to Fall River. It'll be opening up at 167 Broadway. That'll be adjacent to the Papa John's Pizza. It's a small strip plaza. There's a convenience store, Papa John's, and the new Naz's Halal Food will be located right in between. Their menu consists of rice platters, gyros with lamb, chicken, fish, falafel, or kebabs. They're also known for their burgers, chicken sandwiches, Philly cheesesteaks, and chicken wings. They, believe it or not, have over 41 locations, mainly along the East Coast. There's a couple in Rhode Island. They're in New York State, Pennsylvania, Delaware, Maryland, Florida, Arizona. And now they're going to be here in Fall River, and they hope to open up sometime in the fall. That was the word I got from the franchise owner. Sometime in the fall, they'll be opening up that new location in Fall River.
All right. Always a lot going on here in Fall River in terms of businesses starting, businesses leaving, businesses transitioning. And you can find all of that and more. Kevin is on top of it at Fall River Development News on Facebook. Please, if you haven't already, like him, share his information, or follow Kevin on that platform. All right, Kevin, we'll talk again next week. Take care.
Thank you, Keith.